Last week in Emmerdale, Joe witnessed Victoria Sugden covering up the murder of her brother John Sugden. Realizing the power of what he'd seen, Joe secretly recorded the evidence on his phone and later used it to blackmail both Victoria and Robert. Joe gave the Sugden siblings an impossible ultimatum: hand over their farmland to him home for free, or he would take his footage straight to the police and expose Victoria as John's killer. For Vic and Robert, it felt like there was no way out. To protect their family secret, they reluctantly agreed to Joe's demands. Not long after Joe went to confront Celia Daniels over some unpaid rent. While Celia herself was nowhere to be found, Joe stumbled upon something far more valuable: an envelope packed with ID cards belonging to the enslaved workers on her farm. Instantly, a new and far darker plan began to form. Joe instructed Robert to plant the passports at Butler's farm, intending to have Moira Dingle arrested for Celia's crimes. Once Moira was out of the picture, Joe planned to swoop in and take Butler's for himself. Robert initially refused, but Joe quickly reminded him that he had no freedom to object. Although Robert ultimately hid the ID cards, he did so without fully understanding the horrific scale of Celia's human trafficking operation, or just how badly Moira was about to be set up. It was Kim Tate who later revealed the truth: Celia had been forcing vulnerable adults into slavery. When the reality hit, Robert desperately tried to appeal to Joe's conscience, knowing Moira's entire life was about to be destroyed. Predictably, Joe showed no remorse. In today's episode, D.S. Walsh arrived at Butler's farm armed with a search warrant. Moira insisted she had nothing to hide, but her confidence shattered when Walsh uncovered the envelope of ID cards. Moira was arrested on the spot. As D.S. Walsh began questioning Moira, Victoria alerted Robert to what had happened. Furious and panicked, Robert stormed over to Home Farm to confront Joe. Still, Joe remained completely unmoved. In his mind, Moira's downfall was simply a stepping stone. Once she lost everything, he'd gain the farm, and Robert could take her place. To Joe, it was the perfect plan. Robert issued a chilling warning, telling Joe that if Moira went down for crimes she didn't commit, he would blow his world apart. The threat of the police uncovering the truth about John's murder suddenly seemed less terrifying to Robert than the idea of an innocent woman going to prison. But is there any real hope left for Moira? D.S. Walsh made it clear that she currently looks extremely guilty, with a growing pile of evidence stacked against her. And if the police discover Anya's body on Moira's land, could that be the final nail in the coffin? From my perspective, it's looking increasingly bleak for Moira. The storyline feels like it's steering her straight towards prison, at least for now, and Joe is playing a dangerous game that's bound to explode. The big question is whether Robert will really follow through on his threat, or if Moira will become yet another casualty before the truth finally comes out.